Hey, everybody. It is another episode of A Piece of Molly's Mind. I am your host, Molly Gebler, and this is the podcast that you never knew you needed. And I'm so excited about my guests today because we were meant to be together. And I'm going to tell you why. So we were at the Christian Siriano fashion show. Yes, we all were. And we did not know about each other until later on in the evening, but I will catch us up. We went to an after party, and these two lovely gents were taking a selfie. And in true Molly fashion, I then stood right next to them and chimed in on their selfie, which was a great selfie, I might add. I mean, it really kind of looked like we were all family after
Yeah.
you sent it. I'm like, oh, I was meant to be in that. So we chatted for a second. You had mentioned that you just won a game show and that's why you're here. And I believe I mentioned my daughter worked for Christian. And then we went on our way. I think I told you, oh, I want to talk to you on my podcast or something. I'm not quite sure if yeah. So then as we are meeting each other through email, we're realizing that we were both front row. Yes, everybody. We were front row at the fashion show and we were sitting across from each other. So all our pictures have each other in them. And it was just so funny to, first of all, see how I was not paying attention. And in most, I was, I was on my phone. Or did you just choose the ones that I was on my phone with? But that's, yeah. So here we are. So this is Joey and Scott Linwell. And I did do some diving in. And you guys, you are contagious. You made me happy just doing my research. Welcome to the show.
Thank you
Thank
so much
you.
for having us. We're excited to be here.
Oh my goodness. So I want to let's start with there was a connection. Let's start with how you guys met first, because there's a great, powerful connection to New York City this time around. So how did you guys meet?
I'll let you talk about New York. I'll talk about Freedom Park.
Sure.
So we met back in 2003. It was a beautiful April day. It was one of the first days of spring. And a friend of mine said we should go to Freedom Park, which is a beautiful park in Charlotte, North Carolina. Coincidentally, it was designed by the same guy who designed Central Park in New York. And so we went there. I went there with some friends. Scott happened to be there with some of his friends. My friends knew his friends. So, of course, Scott and I saw each other and we're like, who's that? And Scott's like, who's that? And so our friends connected us that way. And then,
So about a week later, we met, and then about a week later, we were at the same lounge one evening, and we ditched our friends and took off and went to another bar. And since that date, we haven't been apart more than a month in 23 years total, if you add it all up. So
And you guys actually anniversarize, if that's even a word, your every day of your relationship. And that just makes my heart so full.
well,
yeah,
what's really fun about how that kind of started is, well, when we first met, like every day we would wake up and be like, happy 29th day anniversary, like as just like a dumb joke. And then
we said it to friends who
yeah,
hated it.
and our friends were just like, Jesus, like, can you say
This is
like really it's your
obnoxious.
79th day anniversary? And it's like it is. And so because of that, I think we kind of
Now we're in the 8,000s.
now we're at 8,000. But I think we kind of manifested that. And so what ended up happening is about a year and a half into our relationship. This was back in 2003, 2004. So there was kind of an election cycle happening in the States. And so that was back when marriage equality was a big issue and people were, really opinionated about it. And of course, Scott and I had talked briefly about, the possibility, like, would we get married if it ever, was legalized? And it's like, of course, there's not just because it's going to, not for any reason, like it's going to strengthen our relationship, but there's, financial reasons and different things. And so we had briefly talked about it. Well, then about a year and a half in our relationship, we just randomly booked a trip a weekend to New York. And we were just going to go up there and just, kind of walk around and sightsee things you do in New York. got there, and the next morning while we were there, we woke up really early one morning
Well,
to get
we got there. And we're like, man, there's a whole lot of gay people in New York.
yeah.
It
Like we didn't
turned,
realize so many gay people were so clustered
it's
in New
like
York.
they've invaded and there are tents everywhere. And then we discovered that we didn't know it was Pride weekend. So
Yeah, so that's so we literally went up there on Pride weekend, not knowing it was Pride weekend. It just happened to be, and so Scott and I bought our coffee that morning, and then decided to take a stroll through Central Park because where we were staying was right there. So as we're walking through Central Park, we see this huge mass of people, and most of them are dressed like an all white, so like almost like very wedding like. And so, of course, we make our way over there. And right as we're entering, one of the organizers walks up to us and they're like, "Hey, are you one of the couples getting married today?" And Scott and I kind of looked at each other, and this is like 7:00, 7:30 in the morning. And we're like, "Oh,
yeah,
absolutely! Like we're totally getting married.
We're in
the world. It wasn't legal yet.
I'm in."
And so we haul ass. He's like, "Well, do you have your rings?" And we're like, "No." He's like, "You need the rings. You have 30 minutes." And so Scott and I were like on this journey, like hoofing it across New York, which is, by the way, the Christian Siriano show. We'll get to this, but
I was gonna say, sounds familiar for
the
you
Christian Siriano
too.
show is not the first time I've had to
run through Manhattan,
sprint across Manhattan. So anyway, so Scott and I are running across. It's early in the morning. We're trying to find anything that's open. We didn't care if the ring was expensive or nice. It didn't matter. We needed something to wrap around our finger. And so this guy was opening his jewelry store, and we walked up to him and said, "Listen, I know you're not open." And he was very nice and sold us these two very basic rings that were like $5 a piece. And we still wear them. The intent was we were going to come back to Charlotte and really look for another ring. And this was going to be our temporary ring. But in reality, it's not the expense of the ring. This means more than any other ring that it could be gold, diamonds, it doesn't matter. This ring is much more expensive in my head. And so anyway, so we got married that day, and that was 6/26. June 26th, we got married. And then years later in 2013, they legalized it across the country. And so then Scott and I got married legally in Charlotte, North Carolina on that day. And so the manifesting came from us saying that our anniversary was every day. And now we genuinely celebrate 3 anniversaries. We had the day we met, the day that we got married when it wasn't legal, and then the day we got married legally. And both of those days are equally as important as the other. And so we kind of manifested this like multiple day celebration of our relationship without really meaning to, I think.
Yeah.
It is so beautiful. And I will say, I think I have cracked the code on why you guys are still together. I feel like, Joey, you have changed your look so much that Scott feels like maybe he's dating or married to a different person pretty much every year. I mean, during my research, I would see, I'm like, oh, did he stop dating and now he's dating? But it was always
Joey.
you. Oh my goodness gracious. You look just, I'm sure everyone has said this before, the guy from Suits, right?
I don't know.
Harry Specter. But I think Gabriel Mott is his real name. Look it up. You look just like him right now. I don't know what you're gonna what look you're gonna go for tomorrow, but right now that's who you look like. So let's go back to baby Scott and baby Joey. Where are you living? Where did you grow up?
Baby Scott is from Charlotte, still in Charlotte.
You're a proud Charlotte.
Yeah, and when I was young, Charlotte was much, much, much smaller than it is right now.
Like dirt roads, horse-drawn carriages.
Not quite that old, but it was much narrower in scope. But I've been in Charlotte the whole time it's grown up, which has been fun. There was a period in my life I wanted to move to a bigger city, and I ended up staying because I was in business for myself and it was going well. And so a big city grew up around me. And then we're actually in Atlanta now, where Joey's from. And he took me yesterday to see the neighborhoods and the places where he grew up in South Atlanta.
Yeah, and so I grew up, and what's crazy is that yesterday we literally did that, and I'm 45 now, and I haven't been back to those places in well over 2 decades, maybe even longer. But I grew up in South Atlanta in the Jonesboro Riverdale area. I was born in Forest Park, which is kind of in between where I grew up in Atlanta, but uh, grew up there. Went to school. I was a troublemaker. I didn't do well in school. I was one of those kids that was very much.
He drove by school yesterday. He goes, "I was expelled from there."
And the reason I was expelled.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. I'm not going to get into all that. But I grew up.
I mean, if it's a good story, let's get into it.
Yeah, actually, it was so the reason I got expelled wasn't even the best school story.
Smoking in the girls' room?
No, no. I wish it was something like that. Actually, do you remember those? They might still have them now, but remember doing 4th of July? You would get the little yellow boxes, and they had the little like poppers in them.
Sure, they have them.
Snapping pops is what we called them.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
So for whatever reason, I guess I don't know why I had some of those, but somebody had handed me some of those, and we were in the gym, and a friend of mine, Lamar, who was a good friend of mine at the time, and even afterwards, I said that like we didn't have a friendship after that. But anyway, I was joking. I was sitting on the bleachers, and I had one, and he was down kind of in front of me, and I just flicked one of those at him as a joke. Well, it popped on him. Well, Coach Polk, and I'm gonna name call him now, saw that and sent me to the office, and they tried to say it was a firearm because it's popped. And my mom was like, "It's obviously not a firearm. It's a whatever." So that's why I got in that much trouble. But so anyway, so I moved. So to get back to, I grew up in Atlanta, got a temporary job in Charlotte, and so I would travel to Charlotte about once a month at first, and then I started going more and more frequently. And then I fell in love with Charlotte. It was a beautiful city. Scott was there.
Yes.
And then, Atlanta's such a big old city that it's fun to visit and fun to go out to eat and do all these things. But Charlotte, at least at that point, was somewhere that I felt like I hadn't come out of the closet yet. And so I was still trying to find my identity. And in a weird way, Charlotte at that point was kind of finding its identity too. And so we kind of grew up together. I was a part of a city that was kind of culturally finding itself and still is. And I guess I probably still am too, but I think that's why I like Charlotte so much. And then of course I met him and been together for 20 years.
Okay. I'm doing 30 this May.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So Scott, you broker real estate. Is that still what you do?
I do.
I know we'll get into kind of a lot
Not
of the things you do.
But yes. This year. I do. I mean, I have for a long time, more than half my life, like 33 years. But what I do now is much different than probably a typical broker because I work for myself. At one point I had a company with employees, and then I worked with another company that sold new units for condo developers, which in a city like Charlotte is a pretty big business. But after the recession, we moved to a house in the neighborhood that we live in now, sort of the arts district in Charlotte. And Joey had whittled his salon down to just himself. And I started doing brokerage just for myself.
He's probably based on everything you guys do. He's probably a woodworker too. So
he is. We have a wood shop.
We're literally have a wood shop, and
I knew it. Right. That's why you said whittling.
He's a whittler. But I just work for myself, sort of boutique, individual work for clients in the central neighborhoods where we live. And I've done it for long enough to where I tended to have a pretty consistent number of clients who come back over the years. So I still do brokerage, not extensively, but more of what we do is remodeling our own place and some other work we did in the mountains and this year travel.
So I can't even keep up with what you've done. Hairstylist, news talent, fashion editor, designer, painter, carpenter. Oh yeah, carpenter is on there. And chef. Did I miss excuse me, did I miss anything?
I don't think so. If you ask me in a month, I might add something to it, but I'm not sure what that's going to be. I was going to say that the things that you listed after being a stylist kind of snowballed because I was a stylist. So that kind of led to so many other things. So I started doing hair. I've always been into it. Like when I was a kid, I was one of those kids that would fix my mom's the back of her hair. She'd like flip this side out or do this, and so I would always help her. And then I, went to school, opened my own salon. That opened some doors for me to be a stylist for, excuse me, for me to be a stylist for some of the news talent in Charlotte. And then the news talent was like, hey, you know what you should do? You should come on and talk about fashion and style. And so I did that. And then like, you know what you should do? You should host this Friday night show that's kind of more of like an entertainment style show on the segment. So it kind of just snowballed, and that's how all that happened. And then, the other stuff, Scott and I kind of dip our toe into, we see something that we, a piece of furniture that we love, and can we build it? Are we like skilled? No, but are we going to try it? Yeah, we're going to go right for it. We're going to go buy.
What is it? Where did you get your passion for life, or did your parents have it? Did you grow up with a family life like that of just trying and doing, or have you grown into this philosophy of just embracing life to the fullest at all times?
That's a good question. I think
That's why I'm the host.
I know, right? I think that we moved a lot when I was a kid. My mom was a single parent for many years, and then she met a guy that she was with for a while that wasn't the nicest guy in the world to any of us. And so we moved a lot. And Scott and I have talked about this with our relationship and just kind of how we like to move on and, try new projects. He moved a lot when he was a kid as well. And so I think that probably, kind of formed something in me that was always wanting to push forward and kind of try new things.
And like he mentioned, I moved a lot too. So that's something we both have in common, as opposed to, I have friends that now have their parents' home that they grew up in. And so that with the two of us having both this characteristic that we were used to moving every year, 2 years, 3 years, it's also as a couple, because Joey's creative passions push him. I'm not as creative in that sense, but when it comes to, being excited about a new house or setting up something new or doing something new, we both are kind of used to that.
Right.
Growing up.
Yeah. And I think, for the creative part, I think I was always like a creative kid, but I had an older brother, who was just incredible at sports. He was that guy that like, literally, if he was on the football team, he was going to be the damn quarterback. If he was on the baseball team, he was going to be the pitcher. Like he was just good at sports. That's what his thing was. And so I think my mom and dad my mom kind of pushed me into doing sports, because I think a lot of parents are like, you need to be out of the house and doing sports. And of course, I hated it, and I wanted to draw, and I wanted to, I was the dreamer. Like my mom always said, Jimmy was the fighter, and I was the lover, is how she described both of our personalities. And so I think my creativity now is probably a lot of creativity built up as a kid that I couldn't really express in a certain way. And so
getting
now
it all out now.
Yeah.
There's a picture that Joey has that one of my very favorite pictures of him as a kid, and it's him and it's he and his brother Jimmy. And how old was the football picture? Where do you think you were?
I mean, we were in Pee Wee football, so 7.
So Joey's down on a knee in his, for a little kid, the pads are massive, and so he's down on a knee, and Jimmy's standing behind him with his hand on his shoulder, and Jimmy he looks like the joy of the world is shining on him. He's just smiling, and the sun's on his face, and Joey's down there. He's going,
"Get me out of here."
I'm like, it's hot. These pads suck. I can't move.
I don't look good in these colors.
Well, I will tell you, your creativity has brought you so many projects. I mean, we'll start with you guys opened 2 different businesses on top of your salon and stuff, but like kind of bars or hot spots, restaurant type of things. Yes.
Yeah, so I was doing hair I had my salon for about a decade, and I was getting really burned out of it. And it was just, it was something that I wanted to kind of focus my energy on something else. And it just so happened that as I was kind of wrapping up and closing my salon, this space in our neighborhood, a block down the street from our house, came available to rent. And it was this old dumpy duplex. I mean, when I say dumpy, it was dumpy, like, patched up floors, all that. And so Scott and I think just because Scott and I are creative and we would jump into anything head first and try to figure it out, we saw that, and it was just a really good time for me to be able to put a lot of energy into it, and Scott as well.
We signed a lease first and then figured out what we were going to do with it.
Right. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
so we opened the No Company store back in 2016, the beginning of 2016. And we call it more of a lounge because we did sell wine and beer and sangrias, but we're in the middle of an arts district. And so, like any old town, there's just building after building after building, where this house was a house 1 block from the main strip, and it had a full backyard. And so we, paved the entire backyard and added this massive patio on the back. So really, our space was a daytime space to come and have a glass of wine or a sangria with your friends, or a 4-pack of beer on ice and sit at a picnic table out in the backyard and kind of people watch and just lounge. It was never we didn't serve liquor. So it was never, like a club. We closed at 10 o'clock at night. Even on Saturdays, we closed at 11. So we weren't any of that. But yeah, we had the store, and then
we opened up the canteen was in another space, and that was more event oriented. Because we had the store, the people that were renovate or repurposing a 70-acre industrial site in central Charlotte, started doing some live events in a couple of big plazas and courtyards. And so they hired us to do the beverage service, and that developed into taking over one of the spaces there and creating an event oriented space. And if you look at that, my favorite part is Joey painted all the murals inside. And so it's this big, 20-foot tall ceilings, but you're just kind of immersed in art, which was the idea. Painted a mural on the floor, murals on the ceiling. But everything's always kind of had this tropical oriented vibe, sort of vacation away from home in Charlotte.
yeah.
Do you guys feel like opportunities come to you, or do you feel like you're hustling for opportunities?
I think we have been. I think honestly, we communicate a lot. Like, we talk about a lot of things and we talk about a lot of ideas. And I think it's kind of a mix of both. I think we, every week we're talking about something new. Is this a possibility? Could we open this? Could we create this? Could we do this? And
we've not done a lot more projects than we have done.
Right.
There've been a
Okay.
lot scrapped.
And so what we do is we talk about all of them, and then you're always excited at first because it's the origin of the idea. And then as we kind of get through, when we start combing through it and figuring out the logistics and the hurdles, if things start feeling like, okay, this is really coming along easy for us, the ideas are coming along, and nothing in life is easy. I'm not saying that as soon as, but if it just seems like we're running into roadblock after roadblock and it just seems like this is an uphill battle, then that's kind of our sign to say, you know what, let's put this on the back burner. Let's focus on something else. And, maybe we can get back around to that. But if not, that we could, we'll move on. And so I think it's kind of an eclectic mix of both.
Yeah. And then when we decide to do it, we jump in full speed, 100%, try to figure out that we're not leaving anything undone. But I think more what it is we just remain aware. Like when opportunity comes by us, we pay attention, and then we'll spend a day or 2 days or a week talking about what that opportunity might be and whether it fits for us. The company store being the good example. It was coffee that morning. We saw the sign. We went back home, talked about it incessantly. I think we probably walked, and we lived 1 block from it. So we probably walked back, and I know we walked around the building multiple times and just started to develop. And I actually didn't know the owner. And so I just got in touch and we're like, we have an idea. We don't know exactly what it is yet, but we'd like to go ahead and get this rolling. And so that was just dumb luck that we walked up and saw that sign that morning that we had never thought about opening something like that. But I think most of it is just being aware, and just when opportunity probably passes by people all the time. And if you're not paying attention, that door cracks open and shuts constantly.
Right.
but watching and maybe seeing a little bit of that light coming through the door and like, oh, what's that? What, is there something there that might work for us?
Yeah,
It,
that's so true that everybody is just so busy that it's uh, I I I never liked the term I'm so sorry, I'm just so busy. I never like and I try very hard never to say that because you choose to be that. You could make time for anything or anybody. And if you're telling me you're too busy, what you're telling me is you're just not making time for me.
Right.
Like
And
you could. You could.
yeah,
That's a choice.
but I do think, a lot of times, in life, we hear this, you've got to hustle and grind and hustle and hustle and hustle. And that's just kind of this thing, that's incessant pressure that people put on themselves.
and that's
And
the
so,
only way to
and
succeed.
it's the only way to
Mhm.
succeed. And I think that pressure, I think people, especially in this day and age when there's, you're just so inundated with, you can look up anything on the internet. You can just, you're just, information is so readily available. I think that people have lost kind of the ability to sit with time. And I think that's what people kind of busybody themselves. I think that everybody is really busy, but I think if, a lot of us, and I know this, I don't want to have a blanket statement about all humans, but I think a lot of us, if we really took a look at what we do on a day-to-day basis, on a week-to-week basis, and really kind of trim some of the fat off of that and thought,
Mhm.
like, I don't need to go do this every day. I don't need to do all these things. I need to find time for myself. I think those quiet times are the times when you start getting creative, when you start thinking of other ideas. And maybe, that's intentional, but I think that people just busybody themselves. And I don't
Mhm.
think that I think they think that's what success looks like. And so they do that. But in reality, like you said, you lose time to spend with friends and family
Mhm.
or the things that you really want to do. And so,
Right.
I think that's a hard, I
It's a
think for Scott and
priority.
I, yeah, and we genuinely, like, there are times that we have so much on our plate that we realize that kind of in the middle. There's been several times that we've realized in the middle of projects that it's just like, this is too much for us right now. We have too much on our plate. We can't, we can't do any of these things well because we have
Right.
too much going on. And so, we finish some projects and then we'll just be like, what, let's clean our plate. Let's get as many things as we can off our plate, and then we'll figure out what is it that we want to do right in this moment. And I think that's where we allow ourselves to kind of grow and be creative.
Yeah, amazing. So then you bought a house in an on an island?
Yeah. So,
I'm saying it out loud now. It's still amazed by this.
Oh,
so
that place.
it was,
Oh,
we actually, and we sold that last year, about the same time last year. So we'll get into
Yes.
the name in a little bit, which that house down there has a little bit to do with how we got on this game show. But
Oh,
we bought that in 2018, started looking in 2017 at just kind of poking around, like, what, could you buy a place in the Caribbean? And again, I'm one of those people that if we go to a new location, whether it's vacation, anywhere, if we go to Atlanta, I am just one of those people that I want to dive in. Where are the restaurants? Where are the best parks? Where are the best theater? I just want to know everything that's happening there. Um,
did you scrub Chagrin Falls?
we're going to, of
Uh, well,
course.
you have a place.
Yeah.
The
So we,
Siriano suite. The Siriano suite is yours.
Y'all's place looks so beautiful.
Oh, he did a great job.
I mean, he's such a talent.
He is. Yesterday or today is my daughter's last day.
I was
really?
going to ask you. I saw that they posted.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's Emily. Yeah, that's my daughter. Yeah,
So
she's
what is she
moving
going to do?
on. I can't disclose that yet. But she's been with him for 7 years, and she went, she interned with him, and then he hired her right out of college. He had never had an assistant. She was the first, and she's had a great run with him. But it was time to move on and try different things, and she'll still be in New York, and they left obviously from his post. He's very, very sad, but they left on great terms. And I've always told my girls, you never burn a bridge because I will guarantee it's coming back. And you want to be on the right side of that comeback. So she's, I'm excited for her.
That's really great. I actually saw it this morning, and I'm like, what timing?
Yes, yes,
We
I
call her
know.
mom in a few hours.
I know. I know. We wish you well, Emily. You're going to be amazing. As Mama always says, go be amazing. All right. So keep going.
Well,
Dive in and
the house came about in Roatan, there's an island in Honduras, because we had traveled to the Caribbean a lot. We traveled to Costa Rica. The first big trip we took together was Costa Rica in 2003 or four.
Mm-hmm.
And we just landed with a map and drove around. And,
and when he says we landed with a map, it was 2004. So no smartphones where you had to Google Earth. That was just
old school.
I had like a paper map,
foldy map.
Oh
like,
my gosh.
there was no like street sign. So I'm like, Scott, I think we take a left here. I think it's about that time. And so we never got lost anyway.
But we traveled the Caribbean a lot, and we started talking about wanting to maybe think about moving down there. And we had the store and the canteen at the time. And so we're like, maybe we could do something small, do a little resort, do something just eco resort based. And found that little island. We started searching for a number of months and bought it. And we actually did move down there. We sold everything in Charlotte, moved ourselves, our dogs, everything down there in 2018. And a lot of circumstances happened that made us need to move back. And thankfully we did. COVID rolled around 2 years later, and it would have been a real mess to be down there. But it was an incredible place. We had it until last year. Off-grid boat access in the most remote, gorgeous, amazing, beautiful place you could imagine. And some of the folks that bought it from us have enhanced it a little bit, and it's still down there. It's love the island, love the people, love the place.
Well, you can't. I mean, you both didn't have the idea at the same exact time. So who was the first one to say, I think we should go to a completely different country, some remote island, and buy?
Who was it?
Oh,
uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So here's the deal. So we found Roatan, and kind of the interesting thing, and not to get into too much detail about this, but a lot of the Caribbean islands, even, like Puerto Rico and ones that are, part of the United States, they don't offer insurance on your home because there's so many hurricanes that come through, and they know
you
get blown down by that. And Scott and I were like, if we're going to move down to the Caribbean, we have to have that. And so I started looking into places that would offer insurance, and then Roatan comes up, and
it's just outside the common hurricane path.
Yeah, just outside the common hurricane path. And so I'm like, so I'm looking into this house, and it's really cute. And I'm like, I don't understand what the big, why is it this price for being
3.5 acres on the water?
On the
Too
water.
good to be true type of thing.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't understand why is this so inexpensive for what it is? And there was nobody around you. Like you can be butt naked for an entire week out there, and nobody would ever drive by and see you. So anyway, looked it up, and it turns out.
And were you?
Maybe.
Yeah. Oh, a few times.
Not for an entire week.
There's no picture. No pictures.
You're in the Caribbean by yourself, of course. You gotta have some fun. Nope. And so anyway, so I saw that house, sent it to Scott, and he was I was like, hey, look at this. This is crazy. And it was boat access only, which is why it was so inexpensive. And so I sent it to him, and probably a few days we kind of talked about it a little bit, like we do all of our stuff, with no real intent to actually move there or buy that house. And then over the next probably 3 weeks, we kind of started looking more and more around, and that house would pop back up. And then I would send Scott this cute picture. The people who owned it before had a garden in the back, and we love to garden. We love to, grow our own vegetables. And so I showed him that. I'm like, this is really, really cool. We should just go down there and take a look at the house.
Yes.
He was a little bit opposed to it at first. And then I'll never forget, he was walking to the store because we were blocked down the street. He was walking, he had to work that morning. I was stuck at the house. And he just sent me a text, and he just said, let's do it. And I was like, let's do what? And he was like, let's get the house in Roatan.
So what hit you that made you send that text? You had to have seen something, or?
So the reason he was so, for everybody would say this, but the reason he was a little bit hesitant at first is moving out of the country. You're moving all your stuff. You're selling all your stuff. This is a big move. And I think that's why he was a little bit hesitant at first. So what changed?
I was walking to open up our store. We took turns back at that point in time who opened it and worked there during the day. And as I was walking there, I was just, this is hard to explain. And anybody that was a regular at our store, it wasn't that we disliked working at the store, but Joey and I are project oriented people. And by that point, we've been open for 3 years and the project was over. It was done. It was set up. It was succeeding. It was written up in Condé Nast. I mean, just, everything was
Oh,
going great.
that's
But
my goal.
our project was done. And I think what hit me is I was walking to the routine part of it, which is opening everything up. And we loved that. We loved seeing our neighbors and our regulars. But I think what clicked in me is this isn't me. My dad had a bar for 15 years and he loved it and, loved every minute of it. But it's like, I'm not going to be able to do this for 15 years. This isn't something that really fits how Joey and I operate. Once it's up and set up, we're eyeballing other things.
You get that itch.
Another building, another house. And that's going back to what we were talking about. We really talked about it this year. So much change for us this year, obviously. And one of the things we came to terms with is that I told him, I always felt like you're supposed to set down roots. You're supposed to get a permanent house that you set up to be there for years and years and years. And that's what most people do. And that's fine. And that's a wonderful thing. I help people do that. That's what I've done.
Right.
But that's not us. Once we're in a house and we've been there for a few years and the kitchen's done and the yard's done and we've done everything we can do there, we start looking at other houses, and it's just, so that's really what hit me was I'm walking up here to something I love, to doing a job that's wonderful and I can wear shorts and a t-shirt and everybody that comes in here is having a good time. But a new project just was the lure. I mean, that was everything about what we do.
Do either of you have Hungarian in your blood? You guys are like gypsies.
Oh, we call ourselves urban gypsies.
Yeah. I bet you have Hungarian in your blood somewhere.
And we both pulled ancestry for ourselves, and I was hoping for some spice. I was hoping really to get something,
but nothing. Well, you guys are
nothing.
adding your own spice. Let me tell you. I want to go to Robe Life.
Okay.
I
love Robe Life.
I am adopting that term. I love that term. It makes me feel so cozy. Tell me what Robe Life means to you.
So honestly, Robe Life, we were talking about it earlier about how people just fill their days with just being a busybody. And I think Robe Life, for me, obviously, we love robes. When we get to a hotel, we check the robe. So the literal robe is something that I think just represents comfort and feeling cozy and feeling like, you're at home. But I think a lot of it, too, is kind of finding your speed. And for us, filling in your day just with constant busybodying is not Robe Life. Robe Life for me would be to find those quiet moments to just be creative or to do what it is that you love to do. It's the comfortable parts of life, whatever those things are. And I feel like people, for me and Scott, we really try to lean into, no matter how busy we are or no matter what project we're working on, we always try to lean in to make sure that we have a day or an hour or a few minutes to just relax and, live a very, to spend a few moments that are just relaxed and cozy, I guess is probably the best way.
Yeah. And one of we realized one thing, this place, we're in a hotel now in Atlanta with robes.
We took the robes off to put the shirts on.
Yeah.
Well, you did not have to do that.
Do it next time.
Damn.
Yeah. Part 2, everybody, coming soon.
But we realized every time we went on vacation or checked into a hotel, we ran to the closet or the armoire to check and see what the robes were like and open it up. And we were always so happy if you found a plush robe and, you immediately put that on. And that's when you feel like now I'm on vacation. And I think it dawned on us when I was like, why don't we just have robes at home also?
Yeah.
That
right.
Part of it is we don't have them on all the time, but if you're an evening that we're going to cook dinner together and relax at the house, it's one more sort of step that I think you don't realize mentally. It's like, I'm extra relaxed. Joey's out in the kitchen cooking dinner, and I'm kicked back in the living room, and I've put on a robe and some slippers, and it doesn't have to be just a robe, but the things that we treat ourselves to sometimes, if you're in a special place on vacation, you're treating family or something like that, you don't want to dilute them down to doing it all the time, so it's no longer special. But there's no reason you have to go on vacation for that to be part of your life, to say, we're going to turn off all electronics for the rest of the afternoon and put on robes and put on some music and spend a couple mental hours on vacation at home.
And we do now it's one of those things that if one of us is gone and the other one's at home doing whatever, if we see, like, if Scott gets home and he's in the living room, working on his computer or doing what he's doing, if he has on like jeans and tennis shoes, I'll look at him like, Scott, like this, and he knows you need to go put on the robe. You can't be at this house with jeans and t-shirts. When you're home, you're Robe Life. It is enjoy, even if you're working on your computer, be comfortable. And it changes, when you people ask me, when I'm out, they're like, why are you dressed up? Why are you so dressed up right now? Why are you, and for me, it's like, I like to dress up. I like the creativity of it, but also when you're out, when you go to a fashion show, when you're dressed up, you feel good. You sit up straighter, it makes you feel a certain way. And so when you're at home and you put on that Robe Life, if you've had a really stressful day, you get home, you take off those clothes that you had a stressful day in, you put on a robe, or even if it's just pajamas or comfortable sweat shorts and a t-shirt, that changes your mood automatically because you're comfortable and you feel more at home, you feel more cozy. And so I think that's, really the kind of the underlying meaning. Vibe.
Yeah, I just it does. It is it's a state of mind, and you're in control of putting yourself in that state of mind. Not letting the world put you there, and the robe kind of is your secret cape, your superpower cape. I think it can be a robe. All right.
Absolutely.
So you wrote something that I typed out here that I just absolutely love. I don't know who wrote it, but I'm going to read it. We've swum with sharks, octopuses, eels, and barracudas. We've lived with crocodiles waiting just around the corner, and we've chased bears off our farm. Through every place and every version of our life, we've kept choosing the same thing: curiosity over comfort, movement over fear, and each other at the heart of every adventure. That pretty much, I think, sums up you two. And I don't even really know you two, but I think what impresses me and what I'm so obsessed with on you guys is the fact that um, we have one life, and you two are, you talk about robe life. You're not sitting at home 24 hours a day in a robe. The projects that you do take time and take, I'm sure, blood, sweat, and tears. But you still choose the adventure. You don't let it, the fear, moving to a totally different country. Who wrote that, and what made you sit down and write that?
Scotty wrote that, and
It's beautiful.
I always tell when Scott gets really inspired, and I think it's beautiful too. He's such a brilliant writer. I can always tell when he gets really inspired because I will all of a sudden just hear his keyboard just in the living room, and I'm like,
Yes.
I'm
I'm a very
right
heavy
now.
typer.
Yeah, he's inspired. He's got something good to say. But
I learned to type on a manual typewriter, so I pound a laptop keyboard as if I have to press the keys down.
Yes.
But
It's beautiful.
one of the things that and Joey and I talk about these things to each other a lot. Like we are self-aware of things that we do, and we've talked about the fact that we have lived multiple lives, and it's not that we throw away a life that wasn't good or wasn't positive, but it's always sort of it's like the project, it's always moving on to something else. And I played football in high school. Then I went to college and I was in a fraternity. Then I came back to Charlotte and I came out of the closet and partied as a gay person in Charlotte. And then I met Joey. And then, we've run bars and we've moved. And it's just, for us, it's exciting and fun. And, the fact that I can write that paragraph and all those things have happened to us. And then, hopefully in a few years, we'll add a paragraph to that has a new list of, encounter. The crocodile part, by the way, the people we bought the house from in Roatan did not tell us about the crocodile before we bought it, but there truly was an 8-foot crocodile that lived 50 yards around the corner from our house.
Oh my gosh.
And so all those nights that we had jumped off the end of the pier at twilight when crocodiles hunt.
Yeah, a new grateful came upon you.
Yeah. And so
I'm alive.
We were in Charlotte about a year after we bought the house, and Randy, the guy who watched the house for us and lived there, said something about the guys around the corner at Mango Creek had to, chase the crocodile off. Like, what crocodile is this? And this is a croc that lives right around the corner. Like, okay, well, new thing to watch out for when you're swimming in the ocean by yourself. And
it's probably better. Ignorance is bliss. Don't tell us about it.
I would rather have not. When Randy told me that, I'm like,
I was doing better without knowing about the
exactly.
I was happily jumping into that ocean and swimming back to the dock, but now I'm going to be happily jumping in and swimming quickly across.
Exactly. Now, I think folks that are listening, because I am, they're probably saying, well, I can't do any of this because I don't have money. Talk to me a little bit about, not to get too personal, but, everything that you've done. You're buying a business, you're renovating the business, you're buying a house, you're renovating the house. Are your current jobs or the jobs that you were in at that point, were they just doing so well that you financially could make that move, or did you partner with people? How is the financial part of because anyone can dream, right? And we can dream big. But unfortunately, there is that financial part to dreams.
So I will tell you this. So Scott and I both had a single mom growing up. So we had, there was not money in the house at that point at all. And then when Scott and I first met, he's been in real estate for a long time, but we in 2008 had to file for bankruptcy. Obviously it was the financial collapse for everybody in 2008, but we filed for bankruptcy.
And I was in the business of selling condos for developers, which was the first part of real estate that dissipated.
Oh, yes. Oh, my God.
So with that, I think what Scott and I have, like, looking back on it, I didn't know this in the moment, but looking back on those things, I think what we did well at that point was learning from the experience, and so like when Scott had to file bankruptcy because of real estate, when real estate started picking back up again, he learned a lot of lessons from that. He learned to not invest his money into these houses that you're going to flip. There are a lot of people who are very successful in flipping homes. Scott realized that it's like, that's not my lane. That's not what I want to do. And he was investing a lot of personal money into that. And so after the bankruptcy, I think we just learned a lot. We learned how to not spend. For me and Scott, we have one car. I think, when you look at our life, it is a very simple life. We have one car. We live in the Arts District of Noda, but it's an original mill home. It's a tiny little mill house. We don't live in some big house, and so I think the bankruptcy really taught us how to be more financially, not necessarily responsible, but just where we wanted to spend our money. And I think what we learned is, for me and Scott specifically, what we enjoy the most is experiences. We want to travel. We want to eat delicious food. And so for us, our goal, I think when me and Scott look at anything, it's like, are these moving us towards the goal that we are trying to set for ourselves, which is we want to travel, we want to eat delicious food, we want to, see different cultures from around the world. And so we've cut out all the other stuff. So
two cars is 2 car payments, 2 sets of insurance.
Yeah. And I know this sounds like a kind of a small thing, but it really does start adding up. But we don't spend money on anything we don't need. I don't like Amazon. I close my Amazon account because I'm like, I get 3 packages a day from Amazon and crap that I don't really need. I think I need, but I don't really need.
So wait a minute, Joey, time out. You survived? Canceling you're alive? What? You
I
guys, this
know,
is
I know.
breaking news. This is breaking news right out of Piece of Molly's mind. You can live without your Amazon account. Breaking
And
news.
even Joey Hewell can live without the Amazon account because believe you me,
Crazy.
I
It was
lived in it.
constant.
But so really, so we learned a lot from that. And then as we grew, there were a lot of times like the sell. So we bought a house that was in foreclosure. I'm probably giving you too much information, but a
No,
house.
I think this is great.
So coming out, so we kind of, it was kind of dumb luck in a lot of ways. Um, I think it was dumb luck, and I think it was me and Scott being together and being able to have someone to talk through all the things with and kind of figure out the details. He could say, here's a pro. I could say, here's a con. I would say, here's a pro, and he would say, here's a con. And so I think as we kind of grew after that, um, we still jumped in like that house in Roatan. We sold our house in Noda that we had purchased for under foreclosure. The market was doing really, really well. So we made a good chunk of money from selling that house because we bought it in foreclosure. So that was just dumb luck that we bought a house in foreclosure. Scott was in real estate. He saw the house come up for sale. He was like, let's just go look at it. We ended up purchasing it and 5 years later sold it, made a good chunk of money off of that. That's how we bought the house or put a lot of money down on the house in Roatan, which of
Okay.
course I know when people hear there's a house in Roatan and it's, it must be millions of dollars. It was not. It wasn't even a million. It was so inexpensive for what it was. And so that's how we did that. We lost our ass on that. Like we bought that house, we enjoyed it. When we sold it last year, we basically broke even.
Uh,
So we didn't make any money on that, but the experience of that, I will never forget. I will
We're
never
different
let
people because we
we're
had it.
different people. And so
yeah.
I think a lot of people were like, financially, it's not responsible. And it wasn't for us. But for me, emotionally, for me, looking back on my life, if somebody would have said, you will lose this money, but you'll get this experience, which one would you choose? Always the experience. And so that's how Scott and I look at everything is,
Well, one of the things when we did have to declare bankruptcy, a couple things came out of that. We as a couple were just fine, you know, going from living in an expensive condo that we had purchased over the years to going back to renting a house from a friend in a nearby neighborhood for a couple years. Didn't affect our relationship at all, didn't affect our happiness at all. There was some struggle things to repair financially, but in terms of just us. And then it taught us too, like when we bought the house in Roatan, we figured out what is our chance of failure and what is failure going to look like if this doesn't work out the way we think it is. And we're like, okay, I can take that.
Yeah, what's the worst that could happen right here? And even worse happened.
Yeah, and even worse.
Right.
But
I mean,
so
that's a testament to your relationship because there are a lot of couples that would not have been able to survive a financial um fall like I mean that they go through that all the time and divorces happen because of those things. So, I mean, that's a kudos to your personal relationship for sure.
yeah, and so it taught us that we'll make it. The worst case scenario is not really that bad.
Right.
And you could do with some of the stuff we do, like he mentioned, you could do math, and math financially would say, well, that wasn't a very smart move. But we look back on it and think it was outstanding. There are so many memories we have from that one particular example that are irreplaceable. I wouldn't know how to value them.
I think, it's one of those things of figuring out what you can cut out. If you want experiences, there are things in your life you can cut out to save up to have those experiences. Now, I've never been to Asia because I can't afford it. I would love to go anywhere in Asia, Thailand, Korea, anywhere. But we just don't have the finances to do that right now. Hopefully one day we will. But we can't do that. So I think that, people looking from the outside in, it might look easier than what the real struggles behind it sometimes are.
Right, right. You wrote something, read signals without speaking. I love that. And that's kind of what you're saying is, um, let pause and listen.
Yeah.
A lot of the things you're saying are, you saw the sign in the window and it's they're out there. You just need to slow down and, see them or listen to them.
I said, and listen to yourself. I think
Yes.
sometimes people,
It's
will talk you
hard.
out of do, yeah, but because other people will say that's a bad idea or don't, and you need friends and family that'll be honest with you. But sometimes a lot of people will talk you out of anything if it has any sort of risk to it. But those risks, it's like you might fail, but if you don't, you experience something so wonderful. And even if you do fail, you still experienced it.
Okay, game show. Let's break this down. What was the name of the game show?
What's
Or
in the
is the
box?
name of the game show? Because it's now.
Yeah. What's in the box?
So
What's
it's
in the
called
box?
What's in the Box. It's hosted by Neil Patrick Harris.
Yes, tell us all about him.
So Neil Patrick. So what's crazy is, we only got to speak to him kind of in between takes, but he was just the friendliest guy in the world. And I don't know what the other contestants were, how they thought it would go, but when we got out on the first day, we thought we were actually just going to sit and see the stage because we hadn't seen any of it yet. We
It was
didn't know
3 days of taping.
Yeah, 3 days of taping. We didn't know how anything worked. And so we went out on stage thinking we're just going to get kind of here's where you're going to sit. Here's where the microphone is. Here's where the camera is. So we sit down and, it's probably about 10 minutes later, we're all kind of talking and Neil Patrick Harris comes walking out. And he's doing his, there's a live audience. There's 200 people in the audience. So he's like waving to the audience and doing all this. And
we're looking around.
That's Neil Patrick, it's like, that's Neil Patrick Harris. And then he comes out and then out of nowhere,
a question pops up on the screen.
And then he asked the question. He's like, all right, guys, you have, whoever gets it first. And that was the show. That's how the show started.
Oh,
we
my
literally
God.
had no idea that the show at that moment was starting. We thought we were just getting
So whose brilliant idea was it to even like how did we find out that there's a game show? How do we like let's apply, or I don't even know what you do. Like let's try it, or like how do you
So there's all kinds of avenues to get there. There are casting calls constantly. I look at them every day. And so you can just go, if you wanted to be on HGTV, you could go to HGTV and go to a page there to apply. Different casting agencies do this. In this particular case, the casting agency that cast for What's in the Box, I had a conversation with a couple years earlier with one of the main folks there who was looking for some brokerage folks in Charlotte for a different show. But we had gotten to know each other and she knew Joey and I's story. And when this came along and they were looking for teams, duos, couples, whatever, we just popped back up in her head. And so we came back from selling our place in Roatan.
This is the Roatan town that I was telling you about.
the connection.
We had that place for sale for a year and a half. And that's a normal amount of time to sell something in a remote resort area like that. And so we had not looked past selling that at all. We're like, we're going to have the summer open. Let's just see how we feel after selling this and where our direction takes us. And 2 days later, we get a phone call that says, would you guys want to fly to London and be on a game show? And we're like,
where did it take place?
London.
London. Oh my gosh.
And we're like, well, there it is. That's the door that's opening. That's the path. We have the summer free. So yes, we would love to do that. And we still had to go through an audition process, but.
Right. Okay. So you auditioned, you're on the show. And obviously we're allowed to say you won because
the episode is out there.
Yeah,
here we are.
Here we are. What did you win? Like, well, first of all, let's talk about being on the game show. Like, you said it took 3 days for the full show.
Yeah. That's right. So there were 12 boxes plus the super box. So technically 13 boxes. And shot for 3 days. We opened about 3 a day. And I think I guess we opened 4.
It would have to be, yeah.
So I'm going to tell you this. We still
crazy.
talk about this, and we got home, and I should have done it, but I was like, I want to write down everything just because it happened so quick.
Blur.
Yeah, and it's just like I don't really. But it was a 3-day shoot.
And it took all day, and then you would go to sleep and wake up and do it again. Exciting, wonderful, exhilarating. But looking back and trying to pinpoint some memories for that, it was so fast. And
thank God they filmed it because I'm like, oh yeah, oh right. I remember that part. I'm watching it live with everybody else.
Oh, that's crazy. And then you win. Did you know what the prize was, or did you literally learn right there when he was reading it off?
Right then and there, we learned we didn't know what any of the prizes were until the screen lifted up and we could see them live on stage. And I will tell you, kind of the craziest thing about that is, like I said, growing up, I was not a sports guy, so I didn't win like, I wasn't like the star of anything. Like I never like stood on a podium and won that kind of thing. And so going into it, Scott and I both, we had just sold our place in Roatan, which was a big pressure relief. And we're like, you know what? We don't even know. We flew out to London, not even knowing if we were still going to make the show. We still had to audition in person out there,
And you're
and
paying
so
for that, right? You're on
yeah,
your own.
they paid for all that.
Oh,
And if
they
you didn't,
paid for you to come. Okay.
oh yeah, and they paid for you to come. And if you didn't make the show, they still paid for you to be there and then fly home. So there
Okay.
were a few people who didn't make the show.
Very classy, Neil Patrick Harris. Very classy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And so we went out there just literally telling ourselves we've had a crazy 2 years. We had a hurricane that hit our house. We just sold our place in Roatan, and it was just kind of a snowball of negative news. And so this happened, and we're like, you know what? Never been to London. I hadn't been to London. Let's go out there. We're just going to enjoy it. If we don't make the show, at least we're in London. This is going to be great. So we were just looking at it as like a free vacation.
Sure.
Get there and get on the show. And every night we would get home from filming or to the hotel and be exhausted. But it was one of those things that we'd be like, hey, you know what? This is the most fun thing. Let's not take it too seriously. It's just fun. Like we're not going to lose anything if we don't do anything. And then that
Right.
last day, there was this weird, like the night before when we got home, I got in the shower and I can't remember exactly what I said to you.
I was standing waiting to get in the shower, doing something else in the bathroom, and Joey said, Scott, I have this feeling. And I said, I do too. And then he said, I don't want to talk about it. And I said, I don't either. And so the next day,
Oh, I just got the chills. Oh,
I get the chills when I say it too. It's the craziest thing.
Oh.
we didn't talk about it. And we didn't.
And so like halfway through you filmed several episodes in one day. And so halfway through filming, or maybe not even halfway through filming,
the last day,
this like just came over me that it was like, I've never in my life felt like we're supposed to be here. This is supposed to be what is happening to us right now. And I have this feeling that we're going to win this damn game show. Like this is the craziest thing. And like, at that point, it was like nothing could stop us. It was just halfway through that day. It was like, we're going to win this game.
The answers came easy.
The answers came easy. There was no nervousness on stage. There was none of that. And, we ended up going down with Jasmine and Macy, who ended up being the team directly beside us. We were on the very end cap. And so we were the only team beside us was on the left side. And they're Atlanta Falcons cheerleaders.
Okay.
Atlanta. So we ended up getting along with them, but they ended up making it down. They were the other team we had to compete against for the final box. And it just, everything fell into place. I couldn't have, I love the other teams. I'm not saying anything about them, but Jasmine and Macy, I just am so glad they were down there with us. Like that was the other team. It just, everything just felt like this magical moment of everything was supposed to be in place. I've never in my life, I've heard people say that, and I've never experienced it, but it was just this weird calm, like this weird, like, I don't know. I wish I could have like captured that emotion and that feeling in a bottle and saved it, but it was just such a magical moment.
So everybody wants to know, what did you win? Tell us everything.
Well,
it sounds like I apologize when I tell people because I'm like, this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Hey, we want to be jealous.
If you talk about, there were 12 boxes plus the super box, there were 13 prizes. If they just said you're going to get 5 boxes and then you win the super prize, which 5 do you want? We got exactly what fits us. We are so lucky.
So we'll start off with what we're going to do in order. Like these are actually the order things. So we won season tickets to whatever NFL team we wanted to go to. We're huge Carolina Panthers fans.
You didn't pick the Browns?
We've been going to every Panthers game for over 20 years. And so we won season tickets with that. And with that, Netflix does the Christmas game day. So the only football game that Netflix does every year is on Christmas Day. And so we won, part of that prize was tickets to that game. So it ended up being the Commanders and the Cowboys in DC. And so they flew us to DC. for the weekend. We got to go down on the field and
Oh my God.
experience that, and then go
So were
behind the
your seats good seats? I mean, are your
oh,
seats,
great.
yeah, like you're
It's the
not,
sixth row, 50-yard line.
Six row,
wow.
50-yard line. And so that was that prize. We won a Ticketmaster prize where basically we get a $25,000 Ticketmaster voucher to get any shows that Ticketmaster sells. So not even just music; it can be Broadway, just a myriad of things. And so,
And that package came with VIP tickets to Bonnaroo and to Coachella.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh. So do you can use them throughout the whole year and just kind of pick as you go?
Yeah,
What?
so what we decided to do, so Coachella, we're going to go to Coachella not this year, but next year because the tickets had already sold out by the time.
Okay.
But we do have the Bonnaroo tickets. So what we've decided we're going to do with that is, and because we have the time this year, and it's you live once, so you might as well do it right now. We're going to
Amen.
take about 8 weeks. We're going to start in Bonnaroo in Tennessee, and we're going to drive across the country and go to all the big national parks, and then all the best like music venues. So we're going to go to Red Rocks in Colorado. We're going to go to the Gorge in Washington State. And so as we go, we're just going to buy tickets through Ticketmaster and go see small shows, Broadway, just
Yeah,
anything that kind of tickles our fancy for those 8 weeks.
that's
Uh,
crazy.
the trip to Paris, shopping spree to Paris. We actually fly into London. We go from London to Paris. That'll be a week, and
And
that's
what
in.
does it mean, shopping spree?
So we basically get a $25,000 shopping spree in Paris.
And
Um,
what are you going to buy? What's the one thing that you
so
need?
the one thing I'm going to buy is I don't know that there's an exact thing, but we filmed in London, so I have friends from the production team that I've gotten to know. As when you meet these people and they're all great, but
I do know because I was just in a movie. So
I know you were. I saw
A
that girl.
speaking role with a name,
Yeah,
Marge.
Marge.
yeah.
So I know about production team.
So I've been on sets, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we can talk. I mean, we have mutual.
Yeah. So I want to go. They've been sending me all these vintage stores because I can't. I have this. It's hard for me to buy new things. I want to buy things that are vintage. I like the broken in kind of look of them, and so
Yes.
I think I'm probably going to spend all the money on vintage stores for.
And have you agreed to split the money in half?
I am completely happy for him to have that. So I'll just dip into this for a second because it matters for this. Another prize is a cruise to the Mediterranean on a small 250 passenger yacht.
Oh,
That is a dream. Cruising the Mediterranean, I love history. That is a dream for me. That is just the most wonderful gift to be given. I mean, we're going to Tangier, we're going to all these historic ports. I'm going to get to see a Roman amphitheater. Joey, who has been into style and fashion, and since he was a kid, watching runway shows and reading about the history of fashion, that is a passion of his. The cruise is a passion of mine. Immediately when the shopping spree for Paris hit, that's his. That is completely. I want him to enjoy that. He'll buy a few things for me.
We
That'll.
wear the same size clothes, hat,
so
shoes.
yeah, so you'll benefit a little.
But that is definitely his to choose and spend because it is. And I got to choose where the cruise went. We had a choice of a few different
Oh,
itineraries, and so that was easy for us to say, well, that's mine. That's
And when they
for me
did
to
the
pick.
when they did the interviews originally, we were trying out for the show. We did multiple interviews, but one of them, the guy said, if you could win any prize in the world, what would it be? Like any prize, anything. And that's a hard question. I mean, to
yeah.
really ask that. And so I had said, I'd love to go,
You said go to red carpets and
go to red carpet, and I
go to
got
Met Gala.
Go to Met Gala is what I was
Yes.
saying. I love to go to like the Met Gala. I just love I love to see people. I love to see creativity.
Sure.
And so I said that, and so the Paris trip. So anyway, so I said that, and then Scott said he would love to go on a cruise around the Mediterranean. That would be his like dream. He's never been on, around the Mediterranean for the history. And so what's funny is they once we did the show, we realized that every person on each team had a box up there. So
that was
when they described whoever was in it, we didn't know because we didn't know who they were before we met them at the game. But kind of the craziest part is the Paris trip was catered around what I said my ideal would be. And then the Mediterranean was catered around what Scott said. So the two prizes during the interviews that we said would be our dream are two of the prizes that we won.
It's crazy. Oh my gosh.
And so anyway, so he got to, so since the Mediterranean, I told, obviously Mediterranean is pick wherever you want to go. There's no place in the Mediterranean that I'm going to be like,
Can't go wrong. Right.
It wasn't a bad choice. It could have been a roll of the dice.
Yeah. And so he got the Mediterranean, and the Paris trip is, it's both of ours, but that was kind of my trip. And then
we go to Finland to see Northern Lights next year.
Oh my God.
Santa and go to Santa's workshop.
Yeah, bobsledding, or not bobsledding, dog sledding.
Dog sledding, yeah.
And Christian's fashion show. Emily was like, I knew nothing about that.
Yeah.
Like she didn't know.
Christian's fashion show is one of the things we were given enough funding to sort of fill in some gaps.
Yeah.
So
okay.
We added like the trip to LA, this trip to Atlanta, the trip to New York. What we decided was we got cash and other things as well. And so let's use this these prizes. This is once in a lifetime that we can have a year like this. Maybe if it's not, thankful, we'll do it again. But chances are, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So we're like, what are some other things we could use this cash for that would be sort of bucket list or dream opportunities while we're immersed in all this and moving forward.
You bought the tickets
through using the prize money.
How crazy that you chose the Siriano, and here we are.
We love Project Runway. I mean, we've watched every single episode.
I wanted to do a walk-off with Christian Siriano so bad because, I still to this day go, it's a motherfucking walk-off. Not cuss. I'm sorry, I didn't.
Oh, you are totally. I'm not allowed because I gave it up for Lent because I am a trucker mouth. But yes, you are.
so literally, if we would have had the opportunity, we were like, Christian, we need to do a motherfucking walk-off.
It's a motherfucking walk-off. I wanted to say that, and then there was never an opportunity, but kind of strange.
Well, Christian, if you're watching, obviously,
we need a motherfucking walk-off.
Yeah, yes. I'll make the connection for you.
Please do. But so as we were filling this in, I was literally on our calendar, kind of looking at different dates, and Instagram popped up, and the first thing was Christian Siriano on his page saying that there were some tickets available, and it was front row tickets. And right when he said that, I just screenshot that and sent it to Scott. And Scott was like, buy the tickets. When are you going to ever be able to go to New York Fashion Week and go see a Christian Siriano show? And so we got the tickets and made an entire weekend out of it. And as you know, because you were there, it's saying, if you're not into fashion, I guess it's one of those things that you wouldn't be that impressed with. But just for me personally, I like to sew, I like to create things. And so to see something like that close up and, knowing that somebody like Siriano, who's such an artist, to see those things close up and just the only thing I could think about as each walked by is just, I wonder what state of mind he was in at this point. What was he thinking? What was, why that color? Why that, that
cut?
Why that frill right there? There was just so many things that I just, I always think about the creative side of that.
Sure.
And so for me, it was just.
And he is like the outfit. Although I will say this show, because I've been to many, this show definitely, I would see things and be like, oh my gosh, I could wear that. Like there are other outfits from past shows that I'd be like, Christian, who's going to be wearing that? But this one was, I thought, elegant. I thought the music was, usually it's that pumping boom, boom. I thought the music was just beautiful, and an amazing gal solo does the music, and it's and it was simple but elegant. Some of his shows are, the last one was in the basement of Macy's, and he had purchased all these white roses and white carpet. They carpeted the whole basement of Macy's, and in my mind I'm like, where's that carpeting going? Like, who's going to get that carpeting? Are we throwing this carpet? Who's getting these flowers? Like, are we going to go take these flowers somewhere? But yeah, super fun. All right, so then is that I need to be careful. I don't want to say is that all, because that is
So we got so we did so we have the season tickets.
Finland,
We have the Finland,
cruise.
the cruise.
The cruise also came with $25,000 in vouchers to buy luxury luggage.
Oh yeah.
So what
Which
kind of luggage are you buying?
it's
What
really hard.
brand?
$25,000 on luggage, by the way. I know, you know,
I
because
you
like when
well, in Hermes, do they sell luggage?
oh yeah, but in
So
Hermes, I can't afford anything ever. Like I look at a little Kelly bag, and I'm like $37,000. Oh my
I can't. Yeah.
I'll stick with the fakes.
Hmm.
So we sat down for the luggage, and like we're one of those people. We're that couple that when we travel, even if we're traveling for like a month, we are not going to check baggage. We're just it's going to be carry on or nothing. Like I will take an arm off if that's what I
Oh
mean.
my gosh.
Every time I check luggage, it always goes missing. So at any rate, so we discussed what exactly we needed for luggage. And so we both got two little roll-ons, like ones that were just big enough that you could fit onto the plane. You could do a carry-on. Got two duffels, backpack.
We went through a list because we are traveling a lot with this. We went through a list of what are the necessities that'll be permanent luggage, like we'll be able to use this forever. This is well
Right.
built. And then with what was left over, then go pick out some stuff that is more for fun.
Can I show you something that I got that was fun?
I would hope so.
It was get the top right. Don't pull it in yet, but just hold it right there. Okay, so we spent this money, and I'm like I said, I don't spend money. I'm one of those people that it needs to be used. Vintage stores, that's where I live.
Is it a certain website that you had to go to buy this, or was it just $25,000 and you could
It was
spend it anywhere?
$25,000, and I asked them. You know, I said, you know, I can't buy a bunch of new luggage. I feel like that's such a waste of money. And there are so many websites that you can buy, you know, use things at a fraction of the cost. And
But
so
it had to be luggage.
But it had to be luggage.
Okay.
It had to be bags and luggage. And so that's what we did. Ended up getting a lot more because we're buying it used.
Sure.
And so there's only two things that we got that are brand new, and that was our rolling carry-on luggage, just because we wanted that to be new for the wheels and different things.
Yeah.
All this is used, but we got to a point
Let
where
me get out of the camera.
we
So this has
we needed to spend money, and for me, I just can't do it. But I was like, I'm going to do something really fun. So Tom Brown makes the cutest bags in the entire world, and I found a Hector. See this cute.
Oh my gosh. And this is used?
This is a used bag.
Oh
Used
my.
Brown Hector.
Oh, and that's Tom Brown.
It's Tom Brown. So I got so what's crazy is so you can go to different websites, like there's Fashion File, there's the Real, there's
Sure.
Poshmark, there's all these places that you can go on and get these used bags. And you can, so basically what I did is I went on and you can select like what kind of condition you want them in. So I did, there's like mint, I don't know what they call it, but like mint, very good, good, and then like fair, whatever. So I did good and up. And I just went through those and I would type in like duffel. I need a duffel bag that's about this size. And I would scroll through and find one. And if it was normally $4,500, I got it for $1,100. And so it really, you know, it really expanded how many bags we could get.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
That
It's
is the most
thing.
unique bag I've ever seen.
And why not get a unique bag? You know,
Oh,
it's like,
for sure. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I'm going to, as a matter of fact, when we get done with this, and we get back to Charlotte, I'm going to send you a picture of the bags because I have another really fun one.
Yes.
That I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I'll just send you a picture.
And any pictures from like the game show, send me so we can add them to the reel here. So is any more prizes? I mean, did we get to 13?
So we have Finland, Paris shopping spree, the cruise, Mediterranean, the
Luggage,
master vouchers, the season tickets to the Panthers.
There's one more.
And then
luggage.
the luggage came with the Mediterranean cruise.
Okay.
There's 2 boxes, the 6.
Okay.
So we won 6 boxes.
Right. And the super box was $300,000 of Bitcoin.
What's the next thing on the winning path here?
So we're in Atlanta right now. We're going to be heading to LA this
Next
coming up
weekend.
weekend. And then we go, our next one is
Early April, we go to London and then Paris. And then we go for 11 days, the beginning of May, for the Mediterranean cruise. And then in June 10th, we start the summer road trip, and that'll go for 2 months. Then it'll be Panther season, and then it'll be Finland.
And will we be able to follow along with you guys? Why don't you share with everybody, where we can follow along with you?
So social media is the best place. That's where we keep the most up-to-date information. So you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Joey and Scott. And I believe it's Joey underscore.
It's Joey.and.Scott.
I'm gonna set up, yes. Joey.
We're gonna put it right there so everybody can see it through editing.
And yeah, so there you go. So it's right up here if you guys can see that. You can follow us there. And then we're actually working on can I say this? We're actually working on a little. It's technically a podcast, I guess. It's the only way that we can the only way we figured out to do like a live journal. And so as we travel, we're going to be having a podcast that will release once a week. And it'll be about our trip. So we'll have, on the road. So we'll have an entire podcast about the Atlanta trip, an entire podcast about LA. And that, of course, we'll post it, on Spotify and all those.
Sure.
Sites. And then we'll do the video on YouTube. And then, of course, that'll be sprinkled into our Instagram and Facebook as well.
Folks, breaking news right here on A Piece of Molly's Mind. I love it.
You're literally the first person we've told this, Molly.
Oh my gosh, I feel so privy. And obviously you'll be able to you'll share that on your social, so we'll be able to follow. So exciting! All right, you guys ready for some lightning round questions?
Oh
Let's
yeah,
do it. I love this.
Yeah. So I did it a little differently with you two because you're a couple. I did like who's likely.
Breaking news, we're a couple.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I through my research, I thought I found that little.
You guys are together. Have been for a while now, Joey.
Well, there couldn't be two more perfect people together. So, all right, here we go. Well, I'm going to start with one question right off the bat. Most meaningful tattoo, and then we're going to go into the who's more likely. What's your most meaningful tattoo? I see you guys are both inked up.
We have each at our heart have a heart. The day we got married, and also on our back, North Carolina, the outline of the state, and love wins.
Oh,
I'm saying that for me.
I was going to say, yeah. Is that the same?
Those are really good ones. I have,
but they're not mine.
I was kind of I would say the North Carolina love wins is a really meaningful one. I have random ones. Like so Sunday, I got that tattooed the day that I quit smoking, which has been 20 something years ago at this point. And then I think what really set us kind of on this path is on my knuckles, just like this. I'm holding a microphone, so I don't know if you can see that. It says Pura Vida, which is, kind of a common phrase in Costa Rica. And so when we went there, we learned that. But it's
I have Robe Life.
Yeah.
There you go.
You have Robe Life.
Like how Tupac has Thug Life across his stomach. I have Robe Life instead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same font and everything.
Any regret tattoo?
All of them. What do you mean? Tattoos are for regret. If you're getting a tattoo thinking you're gonna love that when you're 55 years old, you're dead wrong.
All right. Who's most likely to complain about the weather?
Well, that changed. We had two event-oriented businesses, and we had to become weather obsessed. And weather would make or break a weekend. And so,
I remember we're an outdoor patio too. So honestly,
against the way we used to be, we obsessed about the weather. And after we let those places go, we don't anymore, because remember, we garden. And so you love the sun and you love the rain.
Okay.
So these days,
I would be the one that would complain about the weather these days.
We complain about the cold, but if it's not cold, then we don't complain about the weather.
Okay. Who cries at commercials?
cried everything. I literally cried everything, Molly. I will cry. You know what I cry? I cry when I see people being successful. If I see somebody happy and like living an experience and they're just like super joyous, I cry. It could be on
That's
TV,
me.
it could be in real life. I'm just so happy for people
I
when
will
they're
cry when you win. When I watch the show, I totally will cry. I know it.
Brief description. I'm going to leave out anything that probably with too much detail we shouldn't talk about. But there has been a point before we were doing something for television, and the director was telling people like, I need you guys to really express yourselves more. And Joey kind of looked at him. He goes, "You're fine."
No. What did he say?
No, he actually looked at him and goes, "Oh no, you gave."
Yeah, you gave.
He's like, "I'm not talking to you."
Not you. You keep that going. Who takes longer to get ready?
Oh,
He still hasn't learned. Like I can still, like when I'm getting ready, I'll peek around the corner and I'll see him sitting on the chair and he's looking at his phone and I can tell he's like, if Joey's not ready in 5 minutes. But here's the thing: Scott is like Scott, he's bald, so he doesn't have to style his hair, so that cuts out a good 5 minutes, 10 minutes at least. And then otherwise, I don't know what takes me so long. I
have no idea.
I was trying to
what
think of
takes him so long.
excuses. It's probably because I go in and
I know it takes you so long. He tries on multiple things.
I was gonna say.
The easiest look he has was complicated.
And then I get really frustrated and I'm like, just not today. I'm not doing the outfit today. And I wear something like what I would consider very like late. Like yesterday, I wore a t-shirt and jeans. We went to a mall here and I had no less than like 5 people walk up and be like, man, your outfit is so good. And I was like, wear jeans and a t-shirt. You know how much I work normally on my outfits?
Who's more likely to start a random home project at 9 p.m.?
I think I'm just gonna have to just like moving forward. It's gonna be me.
Okay. You both giggled about that, and someone in the background giggled. So what's funny about that? Is that
because it's him.
Does it happen?
Joey will start a project, but it doesn't have to be a home project. We could be sitting there. He's in the middle of cooking dinner, and all of a sudden I realize he's broken out all these fabrics and clothes and a riveter, and he's making a jacket that he's wearing the next day, and it's a beautiful jacket. But it happens a lot.
I will add this. I'm like more of like hands-on creativity. Scott does that at 9 p.m. too, but what he does is right. And so every now and then he'll get up and just grab his computer and sit, like in the bed and start typing. So he does it too. I have more stuff that I need to pull out. I'm more of a mess.
A different form of creativity. Who's the bigger foodie?
We're both equal on that.
I will say, I'm going to say Scott on this one. I'm a big, we're both equally foodies, but meeting Scott and being with him, he cooked a lot when we first met and I did not. And so him cooking for me when we first met got me into food. It started making like he would make his own like salad dressing. And I thought that was the craziest thing back then, He
was easy to impress.
But it was one of those things that it did. It got me.
Was it Wishbone?
Yeah. It was mayonnaise and then the ranch packet.
Yeah. Delicious. I would say he got me into food. So I'm gonna say Scott on this.
Give him it. Okay. Who apologizes first after an argument? Or does it depend whose fault it is?
I'm trying to think. Do you apologize? No, I'm just kidding. I think
you pronounce it. Thank you.
Yeah. I think we both realize that apologizing when you're being the asshole is the best way to keep a relationship happy. And I think there are times, just being honest, there are times that I get really prideful and don't want to apologize. But if I know I've done something, like if I know I'm the instigator on that, I'm like, I'm really sorry, honey, and I love you. But I think, I don't know. What's your answer for this?
Well, whoever should apologize is the first one too. Yeah. But if most of the stuff we argue about is really stupid, and in the end, it doesn't require an apology because it's like,
I was hangry.
You're laughing about it.
Usually, we rarely argue about anything that's important. It's
where to eat.
Yes. Yes.
Like we'll be in a full on, like, I don't even care anymore. Like, I don't see the salad. I would just salad. I don't even want a salad right now.
How to drive.
How to drive.
Oh
Because
boy,
whoever's driving is not doing it right.
yes, yes. Oh, I hear that. Who checks their phone more often?
I'm gonna say that's a hard question too, because we both have gotten on social media a lot more since the show. Like we've tried to keep people up to date. I'm gonna say me just because I do a lot of the editing for videos and stuff.
And with me having done real estate for years, I actually now try to make a conscientious effort to have periods that I do not get on the phone.
Mm.
Because with business, I got in a habit for a while of checking all the time. By the way, little side note, one of the best things that happened with the show is they took all of your communication devices for 4 days.
Oh, wow.
And we realized how much of a mental break that actually, when you literally could not have it. But, 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 but because I've had a particular experience with a career and I've realized I don't need to return those messages every 10 minutes, I actually make an effort to have periods that I don't check my phone, but it's only out of an exercise based on work.
We did I hosted a Schitt's Creek trivia night the other night and at the inn, and I took all the phones at the beginning because I didn't want anyone cheating and I didn't want anyone crying and complaining the next day that they saw so and so on their phone and this is, um, and you should have seen and heard the gasps when I said I was taking these phones away. And I was like, listen, you guys, I was born in 1970. I survived, like, I'm here. I survived. I gave them the in phone number. I said, get right now, grab your phones, your family the in phone number, which is like a landline phone,
Mhm.
and I'm taking your phones away. And then, I acknowledged to them at the end that they all survived. They were all here and their children are all alive and everybody's good. It is crazy how we are just addicted. Who is most likely to have dessert?
Me.
Um,
So
who said I love you first?
probably me.
I think so.
Yeah. And this is the question I ask everybody. If you were at a dinner and you could invite two people, I'll give you guys, each of you can invite one person, dead or alive, who will be at your dinner table?
That's the easy one, man.
Go for it.
My brother
Mm. Is he with us?
is not.
No. I'm sorry.
Um,
Just because he's like a funny, he was super funny, and like he was like it was one of those things. Like I'm kind of a quiet, reserved person, and
What?
it's true. Like when I'm out, I'm not. But my brother was like this very
I'm
like.
I'm I'm calling BS. I can't say the word. I'm calling BS. And I don't even know you.
you're not.
See, I'm learning something new about myself.
He and Jimmy were very, very similar, and they fed off of each other, and they were very different people. They were
Okay.
uh, very different people in how they lived, what they did, and all that. But they also were very alike in their sort of rambunctiousness and sense of humor. Their mom was somebody who constantly joked and dry humor,
Yeah.
and they both had that.
Uh-huh.
I think Joey sees himself as a quiet person in public because sometimes if there's a huge crowd, he's not going to run in and steal the show. But among friends or in a setting with friends or dinner or family, I mean, you're the one with all the kids diving in the pool and encouraging them to raise hell.
That's true. I like to get the kids riled up. Um, so what
And
is
who would you?
Have dinner with? I mean, if we're going along those lines, I would love to have dinner with my grandmother.
Well, folks, typically I'm about an hour. I probably run an hour and 20. We're almost going on two, and I feel like I feel like we just started the podcast. This has been so much fun, but I'm excited to watch you guys on your journey, and I hope you have fun, but I know you will have fun for sure. And after the trip, is there anything on the horizon other than the things you listed for your trip this year?
we have a few things in the works. We can't really talk about them right
Ooh.
now. However, we love you, Molly, and as soon as we know, we're going to be letting you know. We'll keep you in the loop with this, and as we travel too, we'll keep you in the loop.
Yeah.
Yeah, and come to Chagrin Falls, please. It is I think one of the most magical places. It's very Norman Rockwell picturesque little town. We're about 20 minutes from Cleveland. So if you find a concert in Cleveland that you guys are coming to, I'm going to the Youngblood concert in May if you want to join me for the Youngblood. Do you know who Youngblood is?
Oh yeah, Youngblood sang. He's the one who's saying like the better rendition of Ozzy Osbourne's "Mama, I'm Coming Home," right?
Yes,
And I
yes.
love Ozzy's version, but he's singing, and I was like, that dude really got some.
Yes, and on every podcast I have to mention Youngblood, and I have to mention Youngblood. If you'd like to be a guest on A Piece of Molly's Mind, we'd love to have you. Um,
Youngblood, come on, come through. Molly's
yes,
waiting.
I actually did an interview with. He's a music manager icon, and he manages people like Joe Walsh, Bad Company. But he met Youngblood, and I was just like, gosh, I was one person away from Youngblood, like. My gosh.
Well,
So yeah, so if you guys that's in the Columbus area,
Manifesting right
come.
now.
Yes, yes, I'm going to meet him for sure. But come to Chagrin. We'd love to have you. You know, you have a home here anytime you want to come visit us.
that sounds great.
And
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much, Molly, for
Uh,
inviting us to the show. It's been so much fun.
oh, good, good. And hello to your sister in the background there.
Hey, Jennifer.
Well, thank you guys and have fun in Atlanta.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We'll see you. Thank you guys.
Cheers. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.